Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. And essentially the purpose of these monthly webinars is to answer some of the frequent questions that some of our departments get on a day-to-day basis. And we really just trying to make it a little more processable and more understandable to go through some of our work processes or documents. And so just kind of giving a quick introduction to today's webinar. I'm Nate, I'm a housing location specialist. I'm today's host. Presenting today, we have Stella, who is our landlord engagement supervisor. And we also have Trevor Thundershield, who is the landlord support supervisor. And also attending, we have Kevin Francis, housing location specialist, Nim Rovello, pad admission specialist. And then we also have Jody, the communications coordinator, who's kind of helping me today with running the background, getting you guys into the chat. So getting into it, today is going to be about the RFTA packet, which is an acronym for Request For Tenancy Approval. And essentially what this is part of the landlord packet that you receive from one of our participants when they are wanting to move into your unit. So we're going to go over where to find this on our website so that you're more familiar on where to find the documentation. We're going to give you an overview of listing multiple units and giving you some quick tips on making sure that's efficient for you if you wanted to streamline the process. We're going to go over comparable units, making sure that you're filling out the information correctly. Also going over payment documents, as well as inspections, some quick tips there. The HAP agreement, which is essentially the payment document between HomeInc and you as the landlord. And at the end of presentation, we should have a lot of time for some Q&A. So if you could hold your questions to the end, we'll be more than happy to answer those. So essentially, you're going to want to go to homeinc.com. From there, there's a drop down for Form Central, where you're going to find that under a landlord section with the PSH and the rapid rehousing. You'll find the landlord packet under that display. And then I will pass it along at this point, Stella, to go over the beginning of the request for tenancy approval, and I'll let her take it from there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stella. I'm the landlord engagement supervisor here at Threshold. This is the first page of the RFTA that you see on the screen right now, and this is everything that has to do with the unit that you're renting out to your tenant. So at the beginning of the section, you want to put in the information of the actual property itself. So under number 2, the address and the unit, you want to make sure if it is a complex, you put the complex name. If it's a home or a townhome, you're just going to have the address. If there's a unit number, please provide the unit number. So when we do go to inspect, we're inspecting the correct unit. From lines 4 to 9, this is all the information regarding the unit itself, which is the lease end and start date, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. Line 3 is the date that is available, the unit is available for inspection. This does not necessarily mean the inspection will happen this day. That's basically you as a landlord informing us that, yeah, as of this date, the unit is prepared and ready for inspectors to come in. 10 to 13 is the proposed rent, the application fee, the refundable security deposit, and non-refundable fee. On these pages, you're going to want to make sure for the fees, the refundable, application, and non-refundable, that this is the same thing that you would charge a market tenant. So for example, if your application fee normally is $150, we would just ask that you provide us some sort of documentation confirming that it is indeed that much, and we will go ahead and pay that for you. Rents and concessions, you would add under 14. So if you have a, for example, $500 move-in special, something like that, that's where you would add that. And of course, 15 is the type of dwelling of the unit. So if it is a single family detached home, an apartment, a row home, if it's detached, this is where you would check this off. If you were not completely sure, this is something that the housing specialist can actually help look up and determine with you. And for line 16, you'd want to check this off if the unit is subsidized and what type of subsidy it is. So going down to 17, which is the utilities and appliances, this is where you would check off what type of utilities are in the physical unit itself and who pays for what. So if it is a property that is all utilities included, where you are responsible for all the utilities, you just go ahead right down the line and check owner. If it's a split utility apartment or unit, you're going to go ahead and check what the tenant is responsible and what you're responsible for. What we do ask, something that's really important, is especially if the tenant is responsible for utilities, that you list the utility providers. We do help our participants with their utilities. So in order to know where to pay the bill, we would need that information. It's pretty crucial. With utility allowances, what we consider utilities that are included are utilities that are in the landlord's name. And the tenant does not have to, have anything under their name. That is considered, it is actually considered as all utilities included. If the utilities are variable, we consider them the tenant's responsibility. If it's a flat fee, we can also pay that rent as well. So anything that's in red, just to make things a little bit easier for our landlords, this is something that you can pre-fill. If you've got multiple units at the location, you can go ahead and pre-fill this out so you're not constantly filling out the same thing over and over again. It just helps and makes the process a little bit easier. So at the bottom is the amenities and property facilities. So anything that the physical unit itself has, like a garbage disposal, microwave, you want to go ahead and check those off. And then of course the property facilities. So if there is a pool or on-site laundry facility, elevators, things like that, you'd go ahead and check that off. So it's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. And if you do ever need any assistance, once you send this form to the housing specialist, which is what you will do once you're done completing it, the housing specialist will give you a call and actually run through this whole entire document with you, just to make sure we have the correct information. Down to the next page. So this is the next page on the RFTA. On here, where it has a letter C, you're going to go ahead and list the most recent charged dwelling at the property, what utilities it includes. You're also going to add the number of dwellings at the actual property. So if you have a fourplex, you would add 4. If it's a multifamily, depending on how many there are, that's where you would list that. And then right at the bottom, you're going to fill out your information. So the name of the property, your signature, address, your taxpayer ID, and the best way to contact you. And then on the right of where you would fill out your information would be the applicant's information, the tenant, the prospective tenant. So that's where their information would go. Normally, this is already pre-filled with the housing specialist. As long as you have approved your tenant and you filled out your part of the document, you can go ahead and send that into the housing specialist. Here we have reasonableness, so our comparables. So a few things when it comes to comparables, they cannot be subsidized housing. If there are more than 4 units on site, they have to be unassisted comparables. So they cannot be, 3 other homing properties or Section 8 or anything like that. So the same thing here, you'd go ahead and fill out the address for each one of the comparables, the utility responsibility, the rent amount, and the dates. Normally, we would like the date that the unit was rented within 6 months. It's just the best way to determine if the comps are, where they need to be. And then on the next page, so this is a lead warning statement. And again, pretty self-explanatory. You're going to go ahead and check if there are no lead-based paint or lead-based hazards that are present that you were aware of in the property, or if there's not, you would go ahead and check and initial. And the second part of it is if there are records or any reports available with the lead-based paint. So you're going to go ahead and check, initial, and then at the bottom of the form for the certification of accuracy, you're just going to go ahead and sign and date it. All right, go ahead, Trevor.
Hello, everyone. I'm Trevor Thundershield. I'm the Landlord Support Supervisor. So I'm going to go over the next 2 forms. These are the 2 ownership forms that we are going to need in order to verify that you are the owner of the property or manager of the property. First page is a request for taxpayer identification. It's very similar to the IRS W-9. However, it's a little more extensive to provide us information such as contact information and also where you want the check sent. So in the very first section here under taxpayer identification, this is where you're going to put your actual legal entity name. This name should match the taxpayer ID that you provide to us. We do go in and do an IRS matching on the IRS website just to verify that who we're going to issue the 1099 to, it actually matches their records. So you'll put your legal entity right there on the first line under name. If you have a different business name that you're operating under, such as like an apartment name, you would put that on line 2 or the second line. The next section below that, this is how you're going to notify us how what your tax classification is for your company. We follow all the IRS rules as far as for 1099 issuance. So if you are a corporation, you would be exempt from 1099 reporting. In most other instances, we would issue you a 1099 for the tax year. Now, in the second section there under payment remittance information, this is where you want the check to go to, or any other correspondence relating to your property. It is very common for the legal entity to have an office that's either out of state or a separate location that is not at the property itself. Whoever we're sending 1099 to should be under taxpayer, but whoever we want to do regular business with, send payments to, send notices of inspection or lease renewal, we would normally put those under payment remittance. And then of course, contact information is important so we can reach you in case we come across any issues. I do want to make a note about the email addresses. You can add more than one email address if you want additional members of your company to receive correspondence. Add as many as you need. It's also very common that you have property manager who receives a notification, leasing email, and then also maybe someone in your corporate accounting who needs to receive the itemization emails, the accounting part. So now we're going to jump to the second page. This is the direct deposit authorization form. Whole first part here at the top under owner property identification. If you're a property manager, you most likely put all your information on the first page. We do still do verification with whatever the county assessor's office is. So you would want to put the owner taxpayer name in the appropriate field along with their tax ID. Again, we just go in and make sure that all the information matches IRS. And this is to verify that we're paying the right parties. The next section on contact information. This is, in case this is your corporate audit, your CFO who's filling this out, and in case there's any issues with banks, or if we get a bounce back from the bank when we're trying to submit a direct deposit, this is the person we can contact for that. And then the most important part is the financial information. So you do want to list the bank that you are working with. And also the location is important because oftentimes states have different routing numbers. So we do want to make sure that we're able to verify the routing number with the correct state and location of the bank that you do business with. And then also, of course, put in the accurate account number so that we can pay you and make sure that you are getting all the funds in a very timely manner. Now, the most important part with this too is that you also provide a copy of a voided check. That's our way to verify that the numbers you wrote down here are accurate and we're not going to accidentally pay into someone else's bank account. It's very common that when you're handwriting, you've had 4s look like 9s, sometimes 7s when they put the dash in the middle of it. Sometimes that looks like a 9. There can be little typos here and there, but when you provide the voided check, the numbers are listed at the bottom. It's an easy way to verify. A secondary option, if you don't have checks, is normal bank accounts do have a direct deposit setup form that you can just click on that'll should pre-fill for any time you need to set up direct deposit for your employer or for any other reason. So we can accept a bank verification letter as well. Next, we'll be moving on to HQS.
Essentially what this is going to be is our HQS inspection tip sheet. And so what we've done here is just a real good guideline of things that you can be aware of beforehand or kind of get ready for your units and properties. Exactly what would need to be done in a property so that it passes an inspection so it's a streamlined process for you. And with that, I'll just kind of open it up to any questions that you guys have had maybe during the presentation. And, we have the whole team on board. So regardless of what your question is, we should have someone to answer it for you. So I'll open that up now.
I have a question.
Wonderful.
I have a unit that is a 2-bedroom and Section 8 sees it as a 2-bedroom, but Home Inc. sees it as a 1-bedroom because the front entrance is through the kitchen. But I have 3 other units that have the front entrance to the kitchen. So how do I handle that?
Sure. Hey, Gregory, how you doing, man?
All right.
Has someone inspected that recently?
It's been about 2 years because the last tenant was Section 8.
So you walk into the main entry and you see a kitchen and a bedroom. Is that accurate?
No, you walk into the main entrance, you see the kitchen. And from the kitchen, you go into the living room. And in the living room, there's a bedroom to the left and there's a bedroom to the right.
It's hard to tell from these photos. The only thing that's written in HQS and why something would fail is basically you can't go into one bedroom from another bedroom. It's not considered a bedroom. That's the only HQS has written about it. I'd have to actually get eyes on the unit to let you know if there's something specific. But if there's a bedroom and it has a door leading to the exterior. Is that something you said?
Yeah, it has a door leading to the exterior.
Is there a window in that room?
There's 3 windows in the room.
In the room that leads to the exterior?
Right.
Okay. Because that's another bedroom requirement, or windows. I don't see any fails that my guys have done on the inspection. Ray with BPI is the last one that did this unit, and I don't have any other units for this address. The best I could tell you, Gregory, is I'd have to come and take a look at it myself, or have one of my inspectors do it to kind of give you a better idea of why that would be. But with the photos that are in here and the description, it's kind of hard to give you a firm answer on whether or not something like that would be acceptable as a 2-bedroom or not.
Okay. Well, I have 2 clients, Home Inc., that have accepted a unit. They like it. They want to apply. So I'll let them know the situation. And if they okayed it, okay. If not, we just, keep it strictly to Section 8.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look, give you those answers that you seek. So I'll keep an eye out for it. If not me, I'll send one of my seasoned inspectors that understands HQS as well as I do. So we'll get you a good answer.
Because right now it's ready and I'm ready for tenants to move in. And I have a selection of people to move in, but the larger selection, the better, because I do this for people to succeed, not fail. So I want to put someone in there that's not compatible with the other people. And then the second question is, I have a tenant and he need a lot of attention. For example, 1 month, he sent his portion of the rent 3 times. And so I had to refund that money back to him. So the next month, he didn't send any until I told him that, I'll straighten this out first. So the 3rd time, he haven't sent his rent in. So how do I handle that?
Go ahead.
So what you'll want to do is you want to contact the housing specialist. The housing specialist will reach out to them and inform them. And if it becomes an issue, specialists can do is go ahead and get the case manager on the line and try to resolve whatever issues there may be. We don't handle any other type of supportive services for the participant, but we do have the contact information for case management.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, appreciate all the questions. And you probably did answer a lot of other people's questions as well. So we do these once a month. Just be on the lookout for that. We'll have it on Eventbrite just the same way you did this one. And thank you for attending. Have a great rest of your day.